Hello there, welcome back to another video on investing in stocks. Today I'm going to do a fundamental video. Someone asked in my comment section if I could do a video on when to sell a stock. And a huge topic, very important and fundamental topic. I will talk a little bit about when to sell, when not to sell, what to think about if you're considering selling. I'll talk about what selling I've done and, a couple of other points. So let's get to it. Now, in general, I don't recommend selling. When you're making investments, you should put aside that money for a long time. It shouldn't be money that you need, and it should be invested in something you believe in. If that's the case, it can stay there forever. And in general, the longer you hold stocks, the better you will do. And there's a reason why the average investor makes about 2% a year, I think, or 2.1. They get crushed by the markets because they end up buying and selling way too often, trying to time the market and chasing gains. So just buy and hold. So as I alluded to, the first thing to avoid being in a situation where you want to sell your investments is doing your homework and doing research on the investments you're making. Make sure you believe in it for the long term and then hold, and hopefully you'll never have to sell. And if you're selling in order to time the market, just know that you're probably wrong. I'm sorry to say, timing the market is very difficult, and people who end up trying to do it usually fail. So if that's the reason why you're selling, definitely reconsider it. That would be my advice, at least. Now, those were just a couple of fundamental things I wanted to get out of the way. But when you're selling a stock, you can either sell the stock and buy another stock. So you're basically trading off stocks. You can sell and then re-enter at a later point. So maybe you think the stock has run its course and you want to wait for a pullback, or you can take profits, or you can just sell the whole position and maybe stay in cash for a while. So personally, I would recommend only taking profits and letting your winners win. So if you have a stock that's doing incredibly well, it's up 200% in a year or two, take some profits, take a third maybe of the profits, sell off and put in another stock. You can either put it in a stock that has gone down a lot, or just maybe a dividend stock or a brand new stock, or keep it in cash or whatever. This is something I do and I will do more of in the future, just to make sure you realize some of your gains and put it in safer investments. So I would not recommend trading off stocks unless you have really good reasons. If you've lost faith in a company, the business is not going the way you wanted it to, the vision has changed, the management has changed, there's some really bad news, sure, get out of the stock, get into a new one. But in general, I would say take profits. That's definitely the one type of selling that I would encourage personally. So just an example for me would be, I have some growth stocks, pretty volatile stocks that can go up a lot, like Alibaba, Amazon, Nvidia, Square, Domino's, Activision Blizzard, Take-Two Interactive, and so on. I actually have quite a few. But then I have some really safe dividend stocks like Boeing, JP Morgan, Lockheed Martin, Waste Management, and so on. And what I do is I take, if Amazon goes up 100% the next year, I will take maybe 30% of that and put it in Boeing maybe, where I know it's going to be safe, it's not going to go down a bunch, and I'm going to get some dividend from it and a little bit of gains on top of that. So that's just how I do things. Now, a lot of you guys are probably holding ETFs instead of holding individual stocks. And I would say never sell ETFs or index funds. Don't trade them, don't take profits, nothing. If you're investing in index funds and ETFs, let it sit there. There is nothing else to do. Another example talking about ETFs is that I personally started investing solely in ETFs. So I bought a bunch of Vanguard ETFs. This was in 2013-14, but I decided that I didn't want to be in ETFs anymore. So I sold all of them and I bought individual stocks instead. So this is an example of a fundamental change in the way I think. And I decided that this is the best way to invest. And if you believe that, then go for it. You know, if you've decided on an investment in this company, if you decided to pick stocks, or you've decided to invest in real estate or art, or you just have a strong belief in one way to do things, go for it. But go for it properly. You know, just sell off all the bad stuff and start again. So if you have one of these fundamental changes in the way you think, like I did, sell it all and start over again. Because the longer you wait with doing what you think is right, you know, the bigger the chance of losing out is. At least if you think it's a good investment. Now, talking about selling, I wanted to share the 3 big stocks that I've sold in my investment career. And I believe they were good decisions and I don't regret them. This is not about bragging. These didn't really do well. And I'm very happy I sold these stocks because they've done pretty terrible since I sold. They did terrible when I held them. So I'm very, very happy I sold them. First one is going to be Apple. So I bought Apple. The lowest was $98. I bought some at $115 and some at $130, and I sold Apple at $215. I still like the company, but it had gone up almost double since I invested, and I figured, you know, why would it continue to double? It's a huge company. They're doing good, but not amazingly. So I thought there were a lot better growth opportunities out there. I might re-enter at some point, but I'm glad I sold Apple. And I'm not bragging about selling the top before the crash. I had no idea it was coming. I was afraid Apple would keep going up, but it did sort of crash. So of course I'm happy I did that. But this is not about bragging. I'm just talking about the stocks. Next one is Disney. Been pretty much the only sideways trading stock in the Dow Jones. Done terribly the last 3 or 4 years. It's literally done nothing. It's been standing still. I'm very happy I sold. I bought it for all the wrong reasons. It was sentimental. It was emotional. You know, I grew up with Disney. I was just, how can you go wrong with Disney? They have the greatest movies. But then I looked at the business and I realized it was a big, slow-moving conglomerate with very little growth. And even with the Marvel movies and the Star Wars movies, which was the main reason I bought, it didn't really move the needle. They don't pay a very good dividend. It's just not a good growth stock, I think. So I bought it for all the wrong reasons. The next one would be BMW. I used to own a BMW and I bought the stock for personal reasons. I just love the car. You know, everyone knows BMW cars are great. They have a strong brand, and I just thought, why not? You know, their electric vehicle seems pretty good, and I bought it without really taking anything into consideration. Growth, innovation, management, competition. Didn't really think about it at all, and it ended up being a terrible performer. I lost a bunch of money on it. It hasn't really done anything since. It pays a good dividend, but I invested for all the wrong reasons. It was personal. It wasn't because I thought it was a fantastic investment. So those are three stocks that I've sold. Let me know what you guys have sold off, if it was a good or bad decision. And to close off on the when not to sell, I will just end with this. Don't chase the market. Don't chase gains. And don't think that the grass is always greener on the other side. Also, Don't sell after a big loss just because you're nervous or scared. You know, if you've held Activision Blizzard or Nvidia or maybe Bitcoin or something and you've been crushed, that's the time to buy more, not to sell. If you've lost belief in a stock, you should sell no matter what. Even if it's up 200%, sell it. If it's down 90%, sell it. But don't sell it because it's up 200%. Don't sell it because it's down 90%. You should sell it if you don't believe in it. But if you've taken a massive loss, don't sell just because you've taken a loss, because you're actually giving in, you're giving up, and you're realizing the losses when you should have held through the pain. So be greedy when others are fearful, and fearful when others are greedy. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video.